Welcome back, fellow sorrowers, and thank you for joining me in part 2 of pecking away at the already cracked shell that is the rotten egg that is Mary Teal Bosworth. Teal Swan, as she goes by.
And I was supposed to evade him, and so it was like for a time period of like 2 or 3 hours, I would be trying to run away from him while he tracked me. And if he caught me, I would get punished. Like my rib cage is covered in.
Okay, just to go back a minute. One thing that psychopaths love to do is tell stories, and they're very, 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 very good at it. Okay? And you'll know that she's telling a story rather than giving you a factual account, because there is no impulse of emotion. You know, if you're explaining a past event, especially one as traumatizing as the one that she is depicting, you're going to react to it. Okay, there's no reaction whatsoever. Okay, nothing, because that is exactly what's inside her. Nothing more and nothing less. Nothing.
Here. So he'd be driving, and suddenly he'd be like 20, 19, 18. He'd like pull over to the side of the road, and that was my cue that I was supposed to get out of.
See that? Not even a blink. You know, it's like kids sitting around a campfire telling horror stories. You know, you see it, right?
The car and then run, basically. And I was supposed to evade him, and so it was like for
excitement in her. If this was you, if this happened to you, would you have excitement in you? You might want to get it out, right? But it wouldn't be excitement. You'd be struggling with this. Okay? She's not.
For a time period of like 2 or 3 hours, I would be trying to run away from him while he tracked me.
See the micro expressions, the Duping Delight. Or as Thomas Sheridan would call it, the autoferal impulse. Okay? I've gone through this before. It when they lie, when they deceive, that's why they always give you that look. Truth Dog gets credit for this. That look where they look at you like, are you buying this? Are you going for it? When they think they've got one over on you, it shoots adrenaline to their brain. Okay? They're addicted to it. They're adrenaline junkies. So imagine, break it down. Say let's turn it the other way, right? Let's say every time you're talking to someone and you can see that the information you're giving them is waking them up, yeah? Just not, maybe not an organic portal, but just someone that's not awake yet. You're talking to them and they're listening, and and you can see you're getting through, right? It gives you a sense of excitement, doesn't it? You see that rush? That's what it's like for them. It's like doing a line. The adrenaline straight to the brain. Okay? Someone who'd gone through this trauma to the extent that she is portraying it and displaying it would not be acting or reacting like this.
And if he caught me, I would get punished. Like my rib cage is covered in these scars because he would count coup. Back then, I got really proud of myself.
She wants to prove this, right, to be true. I've seen accounts of victims that have gone under SRA, Satanic ritual abuse. They show you the scars. Not, it may be more private and they don't feel they can, but most of the time they do, or they at least back it up by saying, I can show you if you would like to see them. Not her.
And I would get away from him instead of realizing that I was being chased through the woods by somebody who killed children.
How many children did you watch him kill?
I can remember, well, him specifically, not the group 5.
See,
5 for death.
You physically watched him kill 5.
No.
How many did the group?
She's talking to a tear, by the way. You can see in the thumbs.
Did you witness?
Probably 7
7, the cycle.
over the course of my life, I think. Yeah.
And 7 plus 5 is what? 12, which is 3, which is Saturn, which is what she worships and harvests the energy and sacrifices these poor victims.
Teal thought of
So there's nothing, because she doesn't know how to react to this. That's why that's what you get. Deadness.
Probably 7 over the course of my life, I think. Yeah.
And that little breath she takes, don't be confused, don't be mistaken, don't be deceived. That's not a breath of anxiety from explaining the trauma. That's what I'm talking about. That is the I've done well, haven't I? I haven't sworn in the last one. I'm not going to swear in this one. That breath, that's the adrenaline. Like ejaculating, yeah? Or as I said, doing a line or whatever, coming up on ecstasy. That's what that is. Ready? I'll show you again.
Probably 7 over the course of my
See?
Probably 7 over the course of my life, I think. Yeah.
Teal thought of escaping, telling someone, anything to get out, but fear would stop her.
One of the first programs that was done on me, like he had me breathing and then go through an elaborate visualization where he was walking me through my home, having just told, okay, you just told people about me. You just told people who you really are. So what do you see hanging from the rafters? I shrugged my shoulders. He goes, you see that that's your mother? You see that her blood is all over the floor?
Teal knows me.
Okay, I just want to point this out now. Here's another magpie feather for you. As I said, remember, she's speaking about herself, okay? Here's a main point that proves that and backs what I'm saying up, okay? She's talking about how this cult leader forced her to visualize her mother being hung up above, yeah, and all that shit, right? Visualization is the primary tool that she uses in her fingers going brackets in her teachings. She tries to convince teenagers who are suicidal to visualize their death. Do you see where I'm going with this? She has learnt the tools for what she's doing now, her craft. Okay? I'm not saying that she's lying about this happening, but it's not. She's not the victim of it, and that's part of the theory I'm going to tell you after this. Okay.
Many won't believe her. What she says is hard to confirm, but what she shares is also the focus of dozens of investigations around the country. Lieutenant Larry Jones, a former Boise police officer, was instrumental in a Department of Justice report on cult rituals. The report admits crimes like these are hard to prove, but says it is imperative that the cases be solved. In Teal's case, which she says was turned over to police, no charges have ever been filed.
Another feather I'll just quickly point out. If you look at her previous photos of when she was apparently with these cult members and this cult leader, hang on, you'll notice she's not under duress, she's not distressed, she's not restrained. Okay, you probably get where I'm coming from and what I'm getting to here, right?
13 years reality for Teal Swan was that of a satanic cult. Young girls who grew up near Preston, Idaho.
See this? This is the stance. This is the trance of an accomplice, okay? Of a protege. I'll get there, but you know where
was
I'm.
taken in by a family friend at age 6.
These are not the eyes of an abuse victim, and I've seen many of them. Okay? Joy's one. I'm one. You may be one. This is not it. Look at the Duping Delight, okay? Even at that age.
Realization where he was walking.
He says is hard to confirm, but says it is in pace.
Where we have to open up to these a lot darker aspects of the human psyche.
Speaking about her own, she's saying you have to open up to the things that I indulge in.
charges have ever been filed.
I think that we're in a time where we have to open up to these a lot darker aspects of the human psyche. We have to admit that these things go on, and we have to provide ways for both sides of the equation to heal.
See? What victim would say that? Not only should the victim have ways that they can heal, but the victimizer should too, yeah? Some of these victims, they hunt them down. You're aware of that? They hunt down their victimizers. And they do exactly what you're thinking. Exactly what happened to them. It's because she was one of them. Okay? These 5 children, again, they always lace and base their lies with truth. I do believe her that she witnessed 5 to 7 children to be blood sacrificially murdered. But you know what you know, didn't you? I believe she was part of that. That's what her reactions are telling me.
In most documented cases of ritual
What they're telling you.
abuse, it's often close friends or family who commit the crime. Teal says the issue is bigger than anyone can ever imagine.
How would she know that if she wasn't told, if she didn't witness it, if she didn't indulge in it herself?
I think with every single case that we see coming out with this, people are more forced to accept the reality that this stuff occurs instead of just discrediting every single one of us, which has been the status quo for so long. It's really
Every single one of us. She's speaking of herself as a victimizer, not a victim.
really easy to write us off and say we're mentally ill.
See? You see?
Most of us who go through these scenarios, we think that, you know, it's happening because we deserve it, or it's happening because we're evil, or something.
Once again, what victim would say that? Oh, people think that we deserved it. You know, oh yeah, I deserved what happened to me because people think I'm evil. She's speaking from the victimizer side. She was part of this. She was a accomplice. I have no proof. No proof. This is only and simply theory. But hopefully you can hear and see what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing. Wait for the little. You see, they practice this. What you're about to see, they practice it in the mirror all the time. She's a mirror, right? That's what she calls herself, the mirror. So she must know what a mirror can provide to a creature such as her. Ready? Steady?
Stupid thing like that.
What? They love that as well. I'm sorry. Before they even react, I'm sorry, right? And then what do? What did she do? Wipe the tear away. That wouldn't have even been given the time to to leak. It's not there to wipe, is it?
Stupid thing like that.
Notice what she's doing with her hands, okay? Wiping the tear away that hasn't had time to become one.
I know what many of you
Right. Part of the psychopathy study, and I've made some videos on it. Prime example of what I've mentioned before. I call it the zap. Okay? My mother taught me this. She's met many of them. They zap you, psychopaths. They zap you positively and they zap you negatively. You're about to see firsthand a prime example of a positive zap. Okay? I'll explain what that is once you witness it.
just
Remember, he's meant to be objective. He's a reporter, right? You don't take sides, you don't explain your emotions.
heard is probably hard for you to believe. And I can tell you that I sat across from Teal for 3 hours, and I myself had a very hard time believing it.
It's not part of your job to believe it, to disbelieve it. That's a zap. Okay. Another word for it is to love bomb. They love bomb you. Okay. So he has fallen the fool to her manipulation. It goes the other way. The negative zap, which I've experienced many a time, is you speak to them, you're around them, you're in a situation with them, and when you leave, you walk away or they walk away, which is more common because they get fed up with you, they get bored, they get tedious towards you because they're adrenaline junkies and they run out for fun. You're zapped, and you may have experienced it yourself. When they leave or you leave them, you feel so low on energy, and you're disorientated, even to the point of feeling nauseous at times. But more than anything else, you're confused. You can't really understand what just happened. It's almost like trying to remember what you did the night before, a hangover. That's the feeling, and that's a zap. And he's had the positive version, the other side, which is, wow, it's showing. She's showing you the tool she's got. You know, psychopaths use this to get out of in the past to get out of asylums. For example, Graham Young's a prime example. We had 7 psychologists, and they analysed him, and yeah, he took his way out and took even more lives. So it's a lot easier to do with a little reporter, isn't it?
I did reach out to several mental health providers to see if Teal's behavior was consistent with the abuse that she described. None of them would go on camera to talk about it. Coming up in about 10 minutes, I'm going to ask Teal some tough questions about her claims, and you'll hear what she has to say. Live in the studio, Chris Oswald, today 6 on your side.
No, they're on her side. Look at the thumbs, sibling soldiers. Look at his thumbs.
At the beginning of our newscast, we introduced you to Teal Swan, a young girl who grew up in Idaho and says she escaped the abuse.
They always show you.
Chris Oswald is back now with the rest of her story.
Donna Michelle Teal Swan says she endured 13 years of abuse in the wilderness of Idaho. It wasn't until a ritual deep in the woods that she said she knew she had to run.
I'll just put this out here quick now. If they were as strategic and prepared and educated in the dark arts as she's putting out, she would not have been able to escape. It's just not how it works, okay? You don't escape. They let you go sometimes. They let you go deliberately. Okay? That's part of some of their rituals. You would not escape from this, okay? They let her go. So that she could create her own offshoot of what she had been taught by this cult and make her own.
Unless you trip across something like that, you're not going to know this stuff exists.
Teal Swan knows her story is hard to believe. Do you ever doubt that maybe this is just some sort of nightmare that you had and you just relived it, or do you ever doubt that this happened to you?
Would you laugh at that? Would you laugh at that? If this was you who'd gone through this, would you laugh at that? You'd be outraged, right? You'd be offended. You'd be insulted. No, it's not. How dare you? I'm giving you exactly what happened. And you know? You know, right? She's doing the work for me. She really is.
No. Ever.
No.
At age 19, during what Teal calls a ritual in eastern Idaho, she decided it was time to run. She left Idaho and headed back south to Utah to a friend she knew she could trust.
One day became 2 days, 2 days became 3 days, 3 days became 4 days. And then it was like, after a while, I really had that full urge of like, I don't want to go back. And so it started turning into fear of going back, and then I just hid, basically, with him.
From there, things started to turn around, but sharing her stories was still hard.
It's because...
So you just hide, and they go, you can hide, but you can't run. Oh, no, she's gone. Yeah, of course. Look at all the little modelling photos. Oh, she's so distressed, right? I've seen photos of abused children that have gone through this. they're fucked. I still haven't sworn. You see the damage. You don't see the damage with her. That's because she was the one damaging others. Okay, they do this. These cults, these Saturnian cults, the Brotherhood of Satan. Okay, that's what it's called. And this is what they do. They indoctrinate the young. They don't just feed off all of them. There's certain ones. Otherwise, they'd run out of cult members, right? And they sense the archontic influence in them. They sense the it's an array of things. It has to be an archontic influence mixed with the the traumatizing childhood trauma of the amygdala gland, and they sense that they're psychopathic, being another element, and the third element being that they can withstand the horror and the terror that they have witnessed. It's as simple as this. Okay, here, you're a child, right? Here's another child. I want you to cut that child's head off with this sword. You don't do it, guess what? Your head comes off. That's how it works. She cut as an example, she cut the child's head off. She got to keep hers, and then she becomes a demolay. That's what they call it, a demolay, which is a child a surrogate. It's a protege, and that's what she was, in my opinion, as part of my theory.
Because you've been traumatized and you have no option. I mean, it's too difficult to talk to somebody who's been in a space of freedom. You can't really explain to them what it's like.
I mean, that picture especially, that looks more to me, not that she's being held from running, but it looks to me like she's being held back. You know what I'm saying?
To somebody who's been in a space of freedom. You can't really explain to them what it's like to mentally be in the situation where you would do anything you were told to do because you don't have another option.
Well, I tell ya. So she did it. She did this. She was part of it. Now, I know that they force children to do this and they have to live with that, but this is different, okay? She got off on this. It turned her on.
Over time, Teal overcame that problem. She's now dedicated her life to sharing her experience and hopefully helping others who may be going through the same thing.
And one of the major purposes is for me to be like an example for people who, especially women, who are going through this.
Especially women, because she worships the Black Mother, the Black Madonna.
It's really painful things to know that, you know what, this old paradigm of the fact that you're just damaged goods for the rest of your life is not true.
Today, Teal no longer lives in Idaho.
That's funny because she's told countless amounts of worshippers, followers, disciples that they are exactly that, damaged goods, and they always will be without her help. And it's something that is ongoing, continuing until their death. That's what she tells them. Hypocrite alert. Okay, so as a hunter who hunts other hunters, okay, I have no facts, but through the theory of what I can read, having a soul and looking at someone that does not, I do believe this creature to be a murderer at a young age as well as now at an older age, and a harvester and profiteer of satanic ritual abuse. She needs to be stopped. She's still ongoing. I'm doing my best. Please help me with any information that you have that could help save the lives of these beautiful, young, innocent children that she's victimizing for her deity, Saturn. I love you all. And whether it be on the inside or the outside, I'll see you on the other side of the cube.